Na 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 na. Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell. I would appreciate it majorly. So, I saw this story, I think yesterday, about the three guys that were killed in the graveyard, the cemetery in it's Perris Valley, Perris, which is in Riverside County, which is outside Los Angeles. There's Perris right here. Riverside County, I think, is like in this. This covers this whole area, and Riverside County Sheriff is giving a press conference here, kind of just informing the public of what's going on, dispelling some rumors that there's not some serial killer out there. I kind of abandoned the story and didn't pursue it more because it just looked like it was gang related to me, sort of, and it appears it is, but it definitely has some. It's obviously gruesome. You have three males who've now been identified. They're all have Hispanic or Mexican sounding names that were killed in a cemetery. And according to this sheriff, they weren't. That's one of the things. They weren't killed somewhere else and then brought here. It seems as though they were brought here and killed there. He didn't say. He said they were killed. He didn't say how they were killed, whether they were shot or stabbed or whatever. And how the bodies were found. He said, from the aerials, you couldn't really make much of that exactly because one of the reporters asked the questions that one of them seemed to be wrapped up in some kind of black sheet or something, and did that mean anything? And he said he couldn't really comment on the crime scene, but don't make too much of what was shown from aerials that were taken from helicopters and stuff, I guess, from various news outlets. But they were, it does seem as though they were positioned around a particular grave, that also was a person who, if I got it right, was another a restaurant owner, I think, that was killed in December of just this previous year in Mexico. But he's from this town, so he must have been in Mexico and supposedly was killed. I don't know if he was killed in this town and then taken to Mexico and then dumped on the side of the road, something like that. I mean, the reporter asked the questions about that incident, and is this related to that? And he mentions a district attorney or a DA in another state. I think he's referring to a DA, a district attorney, the equivalent of that in Mexico in another state, in Mexico, I think. But obviously the individual is from here. I assume he's an American citizen too, because he was buried in the cemetery. That's what I believe. That's where I think these bodies were killed. These three men. And if I can, I'll play that portion of the press conference where it's right here at this moment, and then a couple others. And basically was asked, was this a message? Is somebody trying to send a message? And the sheriff said, I mean, it clearly seems that way. And then he comments once again about that same thing I was just talking about, the restaurant owner. I believe he's a restaurant owner. And I think one of these three individuals worked for that restaurant owner. Were these persons killed next to that grave? And he essentially says yes, I think, The three individuals, their names are, and it's so hard to, most of these guys, if they're in a, if they're in the cartel or something like that, not going to have Facebook pages. Well, for the most part, you never know. But they're also very difficult to search because they have multiple names, and just I think Mexicans or Hispanic, have like 4 or 5 different names put together. This is how it's done and stuff. These are the three dudes that were killed. One is 50, one's 38, one's 28. Jamie Covar Rubias Espindola. And these two individuals seem to be related, the 28-year-old and the 38-year-old, whether they're brothers or whatever. I don't even know that for sure. They just have same last name, the final last name. Jose Maria Aguilar Espejel and Rodrigo Aguilar Espinal. Those are the three that were killed. The individual who's I believe, a restaurant owner, even though he's not named that, he's not characterized that way. That's sort of an aerial right there of the bodies around the gravesite. Let me just kind of show you that just so.
Bodies found in a cemetery in Perris Victims have been identified, and the sheriff is calling for calm. That after social media reports about a serial killer on the loose had people terrified.
Yeah, there's no serial killer. At least he said that. And he said the public's not in danger. I mean, this is sort of, it seems as, maybe certain cartels are warring with each other or whatever. I don't know exactly. So, but the individual was the restaurant owner who was killed in December, whose body was dumped, I believe, in Mexico. Maybe it wasn't dumped, dumped on the side of the road in the United States. But he was killed in Mexico, so it would have been in Mexico where his body was dumped. Is Uver Hernandez Castaneda, a local man who was killed in Mexico in a reported cartel-related hit. Bianco also said that the department Bianco, as the sheriff, had received several tips in connection with the killings, and deputies were working to try to track down the person responsible. To dispel any rumors, we do not have a serial killer on the loose in the area of Perris, Bianco said. They are isolated incidents with specific facts of their own, and at this time, we do not believe they are related to in any way, shape, or form. So, but just to let me play that portion. So here a reporter is asking about that person who was killed in Mexico, his death, and is this related to that? So let me just play that so you can hear it for yourself.
Concerned in this case.
Suspect, the three victims.
We're looking into that.
Sheriff, we understand that the Gravesite where the three victims were located are from a gentleman that was murdered in Mexico in the state of Michoacán. His name is Uber Hernandez Castañeda. He's 36 years old. He was apparently from the district attorney in that state says that he was kidnapped, shot several times, and abandoned in the road. Does that have anything to do, and they're tying it to Cartel, does that have anything to do with these three murders?
It's possible, but we have not confirmed that. That is obviously information that we have received also, that we're trying to confirm and tie them together to see if there is some type of a relationship. At this time, we have not, but we have heard that same information.
So, hopefully you could hear that. If you couldn't, you'll have to just go listen to yourself. And then he's asking, I've roughly got it, right. What he was saying is that, according to the DA in that state in Mexico, as I understand it, that individual was kidnapped. I guess he was visiting. Maybe he has family down there. I don't know. Kidnapped and murdered and then dumped on the side of the road. And was this related to that? Because the bodies were surrounding that person's gravesite. I assume he's an American citizen since he's, it doesn't necessarily make it so that he was buried in Perris Valley Cemetery, but, and then again, that comes up later in here, right around here.
Yes.
How recent was that one?
That was December.
So you are confirming that the bodies were on that restaurant owner's grave?
No, I'm confirming that it was around someone's grave that was killed in Mexico.
Okay.
So.
Sheriff,
and at some point he references, he's not too shy, the sheriff, about, he's asked about, he's asked a question about why the rise in crime, and there's been a lot of shootings in Perris and Riverside County. And apparently, he says, you're asking me to get political, which, he's not shy of that. These three propositions that were passed, voted on and passed, voted into law. Proposition 109, 57, 47 has made, it says flat out, they've made his job of law enforcement much, much more difficult. And it basically, 57, was about early release. I think, you have an overpopulation and jail problem in California and probably nationwide. And then 109 was about reduced penalties for parole violations, amended more than 500 criminal statutes, shifted thousands of convicted felons from state prison to county jails, and then 47, which says, according to this article, makes it almost impossible to lock up serial offenders for drug and property crimes. And but that comes up in the press conference as well. All right, well, that's the story there, man. And thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.